Good evening, I'm David Brown, and welcome to the Northern Sun Experience. The rough and tumble of the NSIC football schedule has left every team with one loss except for Sioux Falls. The Cougars made a statement last week topping Augustana in the annual Key to the City game to move to 5-0. The road wouldn't get any easier this past weekend as USF hosted another high-powered offense in southwest Minnesota State. Points were hard to come by early, however. 3-0 USF mid-second quarter when Max Mickey barely gets the first touchdown, 10-0 Cougars. 2 minutes later, Mustangs finally get on the board. Blake Gimble to Ty Stephenson, great extension, 17-yard touchdown cuts the USF lead to 10-7. Next Cougars possession, they keep it on the ground, only this time with Justin Fultz flying over two SMSU defenders into the end zone, 15-yard run, 17-7 USF. But the Mustangs would get some big points before the end of the half. Gimble with the fade to Stephenson, 5-yard strike, 17-14 Sioux Falls at the break. But the Cougars have owned the third quarter this year, and they show why here. Mickey finds a crease and doesn't look back. 54 yards to the house. The lead is back to 10 at 24-14. Mustangs continue to go tit for tat. Max Simmons with the 5-yard run, lead back down to 3 at 24-21. That's as close as SMSU would get. The USF running game just too strong. 428 rushing yards in all. Another touchdown here from Justin Fultz. That made it 31-21. And the Cougars remain perfect with a 48-28 win over the Mustangs. Big clash in the NSIC North, Northern State at Bemidji State. Pick things up in the fourth. Starting QB Jordan Hine out with an injury, but the backup QB Nick Mellon finds Blake Holder. Bemidji State up 21-20. Back come the Wolves. Christian McElvain off play action finds a wide open Connor Doherty. 3-yard touchdown, 28-21 Northern State. But Bemidji's backup would come up big. First on 4th and 10, Mellon eludes pressure and finds Christian Lundy for a 36-yard gain. Later in the drive, another 4th and 10, and this time Mellon hits Vince Dinkel, who stretches out to the 6. A few plays later, less than 30 seconds to go, Tahi Nomain gets in from 2 yards out. We are tied at 28 and heading to overtime. Northern State gets the ball first and they run a fake field goal, but McElvain's pass for Doherty is incomplete, so Bemidji State can now win it with any score, and they do it with a freshman kicker. Mason Hoffer, his first career attempt from 38 yards is good, and the Beavers, without their starting quarterback, top the Wolves 31-28. Afterwards, Mason explained how his teammates calmed him down before his big kick.
Well, right when coach, when we were on third down, coach comes over, "You good from there?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good from there." So then I walk out in the field, and Gunner said, "It ain't no thing but a chicken wing." And I was like, "Oh, all right, don't need to be nervous." And they call the timeout. I was like, "Sweet, this is just like it's on TV." And I go back, and Gunner's like, "Same thing every time. Get the ball up, I'll do the rest." And I was like, "All right, perfect." And it went in, and then there was a bunch of people on top of me.
When we come back, the rest of the NSIC football slate, including Augustana looking for a bounce-back win at Wayne State.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. For Augustana, the sting of losing to Sioux Falls last weekend needed to heal quickly. The defeat put the Vikings at 3-2, leaving little room for error down the stretch if Augie hopes to make it back to the postseason. Vikings looking to get back on track on the road at Wayne State. Wildcats up 3-0 near the end of the first, but not for long. Trey Hyde with all kinds of time. He'll eventually find Charlie Hayes in the back of the end zone. 4-yard score, 7-3 Vikings. After a Wayne State touchdown, Hyde once again with great protection. Hits Trevor DeShepper over the middle. He dives for the pylon but falls just short. DJ Luke would clean things up though with this 1-yard plunge. Augie regains the lead 13-10. Later in the second, Hyde decides to keep it himself, finds some open space down the middle. 15-yard run. Augustana led 20-17 at halftime. Second half now, Vikings extend the lead. Hyde to Matt Heller, 39-yard pitch and catch, 27-17 Augustana. Later in the half, Hyde goes back to his other favorite target in Hayes, 10-yard touchdown, and the Vikings bounce back with a 44-31 win over the Wildcats. Concordia St. Paul made the trip down 169 to Mankato, taking on Minnesota State. 3-3 tie in the first, but not for long. Low snap, and the punt is blocked by Alex Gettle. Nate Tranel scoops it up, goes 31 yards the other way. Minnesota State on top 10-3. Second quarter now, Mavs work the ground game. Isaac Rodriguez gets the short touchdown to make it 17-3 Minnesota State. And just before halftime, the passing game picks up. Nick Piericini off play action to Eric Fuller, 20-yard score, 24-3 Mavs at the break. Second half, Concordia St. Paul tries to catch up. Darius Chaps on the 14-yard touchdown. That cuts the lead to 24-10. That's as close as the Golden Bears would get. Piericini to Fuller once more, 14 yards. Minnesota State tops Concordia St. Paul 45-10. Winona State hoping to move to 5-1 at Upper Iowa. No score in the second. Jack Nelson to Cameron Johnson, 33-yard strike, and the Warriors take a 7-0 lead. Ensuing Peacock Drive, however, Dimitri Morales rolls to his left, and he'll eventually find Jared Edmonds' 2-yard score, but the extra point is blocked, so it's 7-6 Winona State at halftime. Third quarter, Nelson and Johnson hook up once again. Nelson dropping it right in the breadbasket, 23-yard touchdown, 14-6 Warriors. The Winona State special teams would come up big just minutes later. Andrew Spencer with a blocked punt, and it bounces right to Elliott Cox. 25-yard return, 21-6 at that point, and the Warriors take this one 27-13 over the Peacocks. St. Cloud State hosting UMary on Saturday. No score in the first. Nate Meyer escapes the pressure to his right, and he's going to find Nick Greenland in a big green space. 32-yard pitch and catch, 7-0 Huskies. Second quarter now, Meyer executes the read option to perfection. Look at all that space on the left side. He practically waltzes in from 9 yards out to double the lead to 14-0. Later in the second, Meyer once again using his legs, stepping up in the pocket and finding some room. 14 yards that time, 21-0 St. Cloud State. The offensive fireworks would continue through the air just minutes later. Meyer up top to his favorite target, Jamison Parsons, coming on down, 44 yards, 28-0 Huskies. And then with just seconds left before halftime, Meyer shows off more precision passing, finding Greenland in the left corner, 17 yards, 34-0 at that point, and the Huskies roll over the Marauders 41-7. MSU Moorhead hoping to move to 500 with a win over Minnesota Crookston. Off-play action, Demetrius Carr to Damon Gibson, 29 yards, and it's 6-0 Dragons early. Tied at 6 now in the second, Austin Stone, like a rock, 1-yard touchdown, and MSU Moorhead's up 13-6. Later in the second, Carr hits Gibson again, but check out the reversal to get away from the Golden Eagle defenders. 46 yards to the house, 20-6 Dragons. Gibson had 4 catches for 140 yards on the evening, and all 4 catches were for touchdowns. His last score here, another 46-yarder. MSU Moorhead over Minnesota Crookston, 41-12. Minnesota Duluth visiting Minot State. Bulldogs up 10-0 in the second, but not for long. Jarvis Mustapher busts through the pile and finds nothing but open space in front of him. 55-yard touchdown run cuts the Beavers' deficit to 10-7. Later in the second, however, the Bulldogs' aerial attack takes off. Drew Bauer with all kinds of time. Great pass to Bo Bofferding, 31-yard touchdown, and UMD's up 17-7. Under a minute to go before halftime, Bauer hits Bofferding once more. Another perfect pass, 32 yards. Minnesota Duluth is up 24-7 at the break. Third quarter, Bulldogs put it away. Bauer rolls to his right, stops on a dime, throws back across the field, and finds a wide-open Nate Ricci. He does the rest, 56 yards to the house. Minnesota Duluth tops Minot State 38-7. So UMD gets a big road win, and they'll face a tough challenge at home next week against a Northern State team coming off a big road loss. The Bulldogs and Wolves square off at 1 o'clock, along with Upper Iowa visiting Concordia St. Paul. Also at 1, someone will finally get off the schneid as 0-6 UMary travels to 0-6 Minnesota Crookston. Then a big NSIC South battle that could be the difference in making the playoffs as 4-2 Minnesota State faces 4-2 Augustana. Starting at 2 o'clock, we have Minot State at Bemidji State, as well as St. Cloud State at MSU Moorhead. At 2:30, another big NSIC South battle between the top 2 teams record-wise in the division. Undefeated Sioux Falls visits 5-1 Winona State. And finally at 6 p.m., it's Wayne State at Southwest Minnesota State. When we come back, Augustana has moved up to number 6 in the National Volleyball Coaches Poll. But could the Vikings rise to the challenge of perennial NSIC power Concordia St. Paul? The highlights are next. Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. Augustana's volleyball team has gone from unranked to number 6 in the latest coaches poll in just 6 weeks. And heading into last Friday's big showdown with Concordia St. Paul, the Vikings had won 15 consecutive sets against NSIC competition. But Augie knew it would need its best effort to top Concordia St. Paul. Early on, the Vikings had things working. Already up one set, Anna Sikora with the setup for Kelsey Kaufman, who slams it home. Augie putting Concordia on the ropes. Set point now in the second, it's Sikora with another setup, this time to Ashley Wilson for the kill. Augie takes the first 2 sets 25-20 and 25-22. But there's a reason Concordia St. Paul has its reputation, and it's for matches like this. Riley Hansen's kill is too hot to handle in set 3, and then it's Hansen once more. You can see the power as it bounces off the Augie defender. And finally, the Golden Bears will set it up for Sarah Masick. No chance for the Vikings defense. Concordia St. Paul comes back to top Augustana 3-2. Another top 10 matchup from Saturday featured Winona State at Southwest Minnesota State. Early on, the setup for the Mustangs' Taylor Reese, one of her match-high 25 kills on the night. Later in the set, SMSU with some defense. Isha Oden and Megan Larson team up for the block at the net. The Mustangs had 10 throughout the contest. Winona State would stay tough throughout, however, using some finesse. Lauren Kadronowitz with a light tap over the net, one of her 12 kills. The Warriors started with finesse, they'll finish with some power as Maria Raggi slams it home. These two would go back and forth, but in the end, the home team would prevail. Isha Oden with the hammer. SMSU tops Winona State 3-2. Checking in on the number 1 team in the country, Minnesota Duluth. They were at Minot State this weekend. Persistence will eventually pay off for Sydney Mock. She had 5 kills on the night. And then it's the setup off the right side for Mackenzie Morgan. UMD swept through their North Dakota road trip with a 3-0 victory over UMary Friday and a 3-0 sweep of Minot State on Saturday. And in our latest check on just how awesome NSIC volleyball is, not a lot has changed since the past week. Minnesota Duluth remains undefeated and thus remains the number 1 team in the country, although Concordia St. Paul did get a first place vote this week. Nevertheless, the Golden Bears are number 2. Big change this week is Southwest Minnesota State moving up from number 4 to number 3, so the NSIC currently has the top 3 teams in the entire country for the first time this season. Augustana, despite the tough loss to Concordia St. Paul, remains at number 6, while Winona State stays put at 7. Wayne State falls 1 spot to number 9, while Northern State moves up 1 ranking to 13. So to recap, the NSIC has the top 3 teams overall, 6 of the top 9, and 7 of the top 13. Let's head to the pitch. Augustana soccer at Concordia St. Paul on Friday. 38th minute, Brooke Bleeker with a shot, but it's chipped in by Julie Plonsky, her 3rd goal of the season. The Vikings have a 1-0 lead. Second half, 64th minute, Sam Timkowitz gets it ahead to Grace Bem, and she finds a wide open Samantha Shoresman off the left side for the easy goal. 2-0 Augustana tops CSP. Other Friday action included Minnesota State hosting Wayne State. 8th minute, a couple bounces go the Mavs' way, and Morgan Katu gets the goal off the left side, 1-0 Mavericks. 23rd minute now, and Katu strikes again, firing from just outside the box. Minnesota State is up 2-0. 27th minute, Katu adds to her stats, only this time with the assist. She centers it for Kiana Nickel, 3-0 at that point, and Minnesota State goes on to top Wayne State 4-0. Sunday action included Bemidji State at MSU Moorhead. No score in the 27th minute. Emma Brecklin fires toward the goal and Bailey Ertl puts it in, her 3rd of the season, and it's 1-0 Beavers. Second half, 50th minute, Bemidji State continues to set things up nicely. Sarah Strand puts it up and Raquel Thalen puts it in. Beavers go up 2-0. Bemidji State's depth has been impressive this season. Different players stepping up all around. Brenna Keeler gets it ahead to Allie Erickson, and the Beavers top the Dragons 4-0. The only nationally ranked NSIC team, Minot State, hosting St. Cloud State. 21st minute, the Ninja strikes again. Ninfa Ramirez with their 13th goal of the season, 1-0 Beavers. Just 7 minutes later, Minot State doubles the lead. Off the corner kick, the ball is eventually knocked in by Chloe Melton, her 7th of the season. Beavers take a 2-0 lead, and that's all they would need to top the Huskies. Minot State is now 9-1 on the season. When we come back, the NSIC's 25th anniversary celebration continues as we showcase another distinguished alum giving back through education.
From
Welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience. The NSIC continues to name new athletes to its 25th anniversary team this season, and the latest member has taken her talent overseas and back again. Congrats are in order for former Minnesota Duluth volleyball standout Kate Lang. A three-time first-team All-American, Lang was the 2012 and 2013 NSIC Player of the Year, as well as the 2013 National Player of the Year. Lang still holds the conference record for average kills per game and played professionally in France in 2014. Lang has returned home and is currently a graduate assistant with her alma mater, the current #1 team in the nation. And while Lang continues to impart her volleyball knowledge on college students, other NSIC alums use their education in different ways. In this week's Under the Northern Sun feature, former Winona State basketball player Michelle McDonald shares how her passion for athletics has led to a teaching position near Houston, Texas.
For a while, I was a silent leader, and even if you talk to the coaches I had, it was always a struggle for me just to talk. You know, not because I didn't want to, just because I was always so focused on what I was doing and trying to focus on what my next step was or what my next move was. And I think over the years, even in college, just being more of an actual leader, talking, holding each other accountable, being respectful.
Michelle really was never a big, loud voice around her teammates. You know, she was an impact player and a difference maker. She became that because of her work ethic and her attitude and her commitment and dedication in the off season. All she needed was just an opportunity, just like we gave her here, and she took advantage of it.
It was just a crazy line of events, but again, it was Coach Ballard and the generosity of his family and his guidance that really got me to where I am. I would say just being able to influence the minds of the kids and seeing them really, you know, I would say that my school is a lot of the kids are underprivileged, so maybe when they're at school, this is the only time they get to play a game with actual equipment. So I would say just in general, being an elementary school teacher is just seeing the kids laugh and learn something new and be able to, you know, build relationships with other kids in the class and then also as well with me. So just being able to know that I'm positively influencing their life when they're at school is definitely the most rewarding thing for me.
You know, she was just a great example of this is what can happen. You know, as far as all the achievements, not only individually, but also helping your team get to new heights, and Michelle's footprints are all over our program in terms of helping us get to the national tournament for the first time in the history of the program. And now we've been 2 more times since she graduated, and we've won a conference tournament championship and a regular season championship. You know, good people follow good people, and you know, Michelle helped us recruit some other good players that followed in her footsteps.
We tell the kids exactly what they need to do, you know, how they need to do it. Overall, just how to be good people. You know, I think the focus is more on what's going to happen when you leave here. You know, kind of similar to, like I said with Winona, are you going to be able to be successful once you leave? And it's the same thing here. Like, what do we need to do for these kids so that they can be successful when they move on and when they eventually get to high school, and hopefully if they choose to and can go to college.
When we come back, it's DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
Welcome back. Once again, it's time for DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week. For number 5, it's a 9-5 connection. Minnesota Duluth quarterback Drew Bauer, number 9, stops on a dime and throws across the field to receiver Nate Ricci, number 5. Ricci does the rest en route to a 56-yard touchdown against Minot State. Even Dolly Parton has to love this 9-5 at play number 5. For number 4, we celebrate Damon Gibson's 4 catches for MSU Moorhead. All 4 went for touchdowns in the Dragons' big 41-12 win over Minnesota Crookston. Gibson is second in the NSIC in touchdowns, and he moved up that list thanks to his big day he'll never forget. At number 3, it's the start of our block party. First, it's Minnesota State's Alex Gettle with the block, and then Nate Tranel scoops it up for the easy Mavericks touchdown. Minnesota State bounced back after last week's loss to Winona State with a big win over Concordia St. Paul, thanks to bounces like the one at play number 3. For number 2, it's another big bounce and another big score. Winona State's Andrew Spencer with the block, and Elliot Cox takes care of the rest against Upper Iowa. To be honest, not much of a difference between plays 3 and 2, but because of my self-imposed arbitrary ranking system, I've decided Winona State's just looks twice as nice, so it gets the number 2 slot. But our top play of the week is the continued presence of Mustang magic. Off the reverse flea flicker, Blake Gimble finds the law firm Raphael Lawson-Gale, who eventually stretches out for the 42-yard touchdown. Southwest Minnesota State has never been afraid to bust out the trick plays, even when they're down by 17. This touchdown brought the Mustangs to within 10 of Sioux Falls. While they couldn't pull off the victory, SMSU was able to capture the top play of the past week in the NSIC. Once again, a thank you to all of our NSIC member schools for their time and contributions to this week's show. We'll be back right here next week for yet another Northern Sun Experience.